What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta. You're with D-Boy. I'm here for you guys, as you can see, with a Scharhrot deck profile. But it is not Scharhrot in Premium, it's actually Scharhrot in Standard. For me, I always have played Dark Irregulars in the past, and from the start of the game actually, when they introduced Dark Irregulars, I was pretty much very fast sold out. Of course, my main clan have always been Spark Brothers, but Dark Regulus was also a lot of fun to play. And when I saw Scharhrot, I was immediately a big fan of the art, especially of the second Scharhrot, and just the way that the deck worked, the art of the deck really looked very fun, and very excited to me to play. And then when the V-Series got introduced, we saw cards with very different art, actually, like this. It was way more edgy, even NLK. It was way more edgy. It was way more like Magic the Gathering and way less like Vanguard. And that's one of the reasons why I kept playing Dark Irregulars and Premium, and I never really gave it a chance in Standard. But now they introduced Scharhrot's Vampir again in Standard, and boy oh boy, the art looks amazing, and the deck actually plays very well for a Protect clan, because I normally play a lot of Force clans and never really play a Protect clan, but this deck really is a lot of fun to play. Some people would say that Scharhrot is not a VR worthy because of his skill, and that Dark Irregulars got the short end of the stick, but for me, I think that it was alright. I think that the deck work very well if you play it right, if you have the nice or the right tech cards in it. So yeah, let's actually go through into the deck. First, let's go fast through the deck, and after that I will go back and explain my reasons for the cards and also what the cards does, because of course these cards are printed, and so they're in Japanese and they're printed on the cards. As you can see, they look perfect, just for me to do some playtesting. Also, shout out to Varian, a friend of mine and a teammate, for helping me out with the deck list, of course. So 4 copies of Scharhrot Vampir, then I add in 4 copies of Number of Terror, and only 2 copies of the new Guild Array, which they reprint him or made him into a grade 3. Alright, so that's 10 grade 3s. For the grade 2, we start with 4 copies of a newcomer. I think her name is Prognos Dre, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. We play her at 4, and then of course we play 4 copies of Emblem Master, as it is one of the most important counter or soul chargers. And then I play 3 copies of Werewolf Sager. It's still a very good, nice right target, and gets power, so it's good. For the grade 1 lineup, we play 4 copies of Succubus of Pure Love. I love the new arts. I have all of her other arts as well. Again, a big fan. And then we have the 4 copies of Edge of Darkness. It's also very nice to see this card being reprinted. Then we have 2 copies of Yellow Bolt and 2 copies of Alluring Succubus to make 12 grade 2 ones. So 12, 11, 10. For the grade 0s or triggers, we ran 4 heals, 4 draws, debatable. You could also play 2 draws on 2 Sentinel crits. Pretty much up to you, because this deck doesn't really keep rewriting into different grade 3s, because you want to keep staying on Scharhrot, and if you don't get the second Scharhrot, you don't want to rewrite into something else. I think it's okay to run the 4 draw PGs, but if you find yourself rewriting into Scharhrot multiple times or writing into something else, then going back to Scharhrot, then I understand you want to run the 2 on 2, because the thing is, in Protect clans, the critical let's say criticals with Sentinel ability, which have the 30k shield, work very good, because most of the time with a Protect clan, you sometimes even perfect guard and just throw up a EPG, because you have a lot of PGs in your hand and you don't want that. or they don't really do much for you, because next time you will ride into something else and you will get the marker again to your hand. So again, it's pretty much up to you, but I think in this deck it's good to have the 4 draw PGs. Also, the deck doesn't really soul charge that much, so it's okay to have those. Then we run all out crits, so 4 on 4, just 8 crits, vanilla crits of course, because it's a V. For the starter, you could play anyone you like. Of course, you could play the new starter if you want, which is also very nice because it's a reprint, of course, of the old art, which is one of the cards that we actually played for a very long time, which is of course Ordinance. This card, which also got reprinted. So yeah, you could play that if you want to. It does fit well with the theme, with Gilderay and everything, but I'm a big fan of the art of Devil in Shadows, the old art and the new art, so I will definitely be playing this. Of course, the reprinted one with the text on it that you could get the quick shield. Alright, so let's go back and explain some of the cards. Let's go back from the grade 3s because it's easier. First we have Scharhrot Vampir, right? So you have play that at 4 because again it's your main grade 3. What this card does is it has a Vanguard ability that at the beginning of your battle phase, all of the units in your front row will gain an extra 10k for each card in your soul. And that's a very nice skill because it reminds us a little bit of the skill of Ammon. Ammon was also one of the cards that I played a lot in the past because I loved the art of Ammon, the way that the deck worked, the retirement power, but also the amazing amount of power that Ammon got. And Scharhrot kind of does the same, but he gives it to the whole front row because he likes to share. His second ability is for a counterblast of 1. When he attacks, you could restand one of your regards, but if you have 13 or more cards in your soul, you restand 2. So front row regards, you restand 2 of your front row regards. That's a very good ability, especially in a protect clan, because it kind of gives you the opportunity to multi-attack. And some people would say, hey, that's not what Dark Regular should do. Well, actually, it is okay, because it's kind of the same as rewriting, because NLK gives you the opportunity to rewrite, and nobody said, hey, you can't do that, or that's out of character, so why would restanding be? So yeah, again, I think that this is an amazing ability. You could use it in premium very well with NLK, and of course with the strides. I sometimes forget the names when I didn't play Dark Regulars for a very long time. But what I mean is, of course, Gastille. You could play it very well with Gastille, and then you could combine it with NLK. But we're talking about standard right here, so we're not talking about those. But again, you could do that. So that's Scharhrot Vampir, and now you will ask yourself, okay, which regards are very good to attack twice with, or which regards do we benefit a lot from having on the field that you want to attack twice with? And that's actually the Number of Terror and the Gilderay. Those are 2 regards that you will benefit a lot from having on the field, because Number of Terror of course has 2 abilities. You should know that because it's a card that was introduced way before this set, which is the Butterfly of the Moonlight. He has 2 abilities. The first one is Rearguard and G-Guard, or G-Circle, and that's when you this card will be placed if you have 10 or more cards in your soul. He gain extra 10k, and that's very good because it's 10k power or 10k shield, or this and that. But that's pretty much you could guard with as a 10k shield, but also when you place it on the field, he will already gain power, which makes him a very good beat stick with the Scharhrot Vampir. But that's not all, because also the second ability of this card is very important, especially when you have a little bit of field. When your field would look like this, you will attack first with this card, right? And then you attack with a Number of Terror, and then you use his ability to eat up one of your regards, and then you draw 2 cards, because that's his second ability, as long as you have 10 or more cards in your soul. Then when you attack with Scharhrot Vampir, if you don't have the 13 cards in your soul, you still restand one of your regulars, which is this, because this is the beat stick. And then you attack again with this, and you could eat up one of your other regulars, and with that, you pretty much will draw 2 more cards. So that's 4 cards in one turn. That's why his second ability is such an important ability in this deck, because it gives you the draw power, and that's why you play 4 copies of it in this deck. Another card that kind of give you a little bit of advantage is of course also Enjoyyy. When this card is placed on Vanguard or Vanguard circle, you count +1, and then you could call something from your soul to the field, which is a grade 2 or less. And that's very important because he gives you a little bit of a field advantage if you don't have enough cards in your hand. But I still find Number of Terror better because he draws you 4 per turn. The second ability of Enjoyyy again combines very well with Scharhrot restand ability, because this card, when he attacks a Vanguard, if you have, let me see, I'm not mistaken, the number of cards you need to have in your soul is 10 or more. Okay, so it's kind of the same as a Number of Terror. If you have 10 or more cards in your soul, you could retire something from your opponent's field, which is amazing because it gives you the field retirement power that's Dark Regulars mostly always had in the past, a little bit of retirement, especially Scharhrot. So that's nice because you could retire 2 by restanding him and attacking with him again. And then for the grade 2 lineup, this card has a very interesting ability. It's a card that I, at the start, didn't want to play that much, but then later on I thought, hey, it's actually a very good card, and it does do a lot, especially if you restood it with Scharhrot. But if you have 5 or more cards in your soul, which is really not much, so you could activate her very fast, and she's also Vanguard and Vanguard. When she attacks, you look at the top part of your deck, and then you could leave it there, or you could put it into your soul. So if it's a trigger, you leave it there. If it's not a trigger, you put it into your soul, which you gain 1 soul, but you also gain more chance of drive checking something. You also will know what you will drive check next. So if you have this as a Vanguard, you attack with it, and you will know what your drive check would be like. So that's very nice. It's kind of feels like you're playing Oracle Think Tank, but at the same time, you could also soul charge. So again, a very nice ability. Emblem Master, of course, we don't have to explain this. He gives you the soul charge, you gain power, and you gain shield. So again, an important card to get to that 13 cards in your soul. We still play the Werewolf. Reasons is that it's a very good right target. It gives you a soul charge too, but also having him as a Vanguard is nice because he still gained the extra 5k, so it's a good beat stick, and we don't really have anything else as a better grade 2. The only grade 2 that I were thinking about to play is the grade 2 3k2 crits, but the problem with that card is that it doesn't help with soul charging at all, and it's actually too weak. Even if you restood it, it's still too weak. For the grade 1 lineup, of course, we have Succubus of Pure Love, which when she's placed, you check the top 5 cards of your deck for a grade 3, and if you have a grade 3, you add it to your hand and you discard something. Mostly you could discard a quick shield or something that you don't want. And then for her first ability, which is very nice because it's kind of darkness, if you have soul charge this turn, she gains extra 5k, which makes her a 13k booster or beater, which is always good. Also, her skill, I think it doesn't really have to be placed from hand, which is also, no, it does. It needs to be placed from hand, so when you place her from your soul, you don't get the ability, only when placed from hand. Next card we have is Edge of Darkness, or Edge in Darkness. This is a card that actually kind of replaced Yellow Balls, or you could play both of them if you want. Pretty much up to you, but what this card does is when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, you draw a card and then you put 1 card from your hand into the soul. So it's a very, very good right target. But again, also when it's placed on the Vanguard Circle, you soul charge 1. And then if this card was placed with a card ability, you also counter charge 1. So it's a soul charge and a counter charge, which is very important in this deck because you don't have anything that countercharges. But also the soul charge is always good, and also the selective soul charging is good because you draw and you soul charge anything you want from your hand. So again, a very important ability and a very good right target. It's a very amazing double rare actually from the set, which could have also been a triple rare. Then we add in 2 copies of Yellow Bolt. Again, this is another very good right target, also a good Vanguard because you could just attack with it and fill up the soul even more. It's nice to have that extra soul charging, but it's important to also get your grade 3s. So only 2 copies of Yellow Bolt because I feel that Alluring Succubus is still needed, because not only she soul charged herself, so she could soul charge another grade 3, but she also gets you a grade 3 to your hand, which, as you saw, the Scharhrot vampir is important, number of terror is important. You need those in your hand to be able to do that big turn, to draw more, and to just put so much pressure on your opponent. So Alluring Succubus is a card that I took out of the deck to put something else in here, but then I put her back because she actually was very needed. That's actually it for the deck profile. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask, comment in the comment section below, or contact me on Facebook and I could help you out with the deck. I will do a match of the deck also very soon. Maybe it's already on our channel. Maybe it will be against Bermuda, against Sparkles, to have a little bit of fun with the deck and show you guys also how it works. Just show the deck in action, and that's kind of it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Till next.